Hello and welcome to the Our Glory Days Growing Up in the 80s and 90s brand new YouTube channel. I'm Alan Wycherley, and for the last couple of months I've been recording a podcast about growing up in the 80s and 90s. If that's how you came to this channel, then you might want to zone out for the next couple of minutes, because I'm just going to talk about what I'm doing and how I came up with it. And basically, I bonded with a friend of mine from high school. We hadn't seen each other since school. We were friends from Facebook, and then somebody decided to organise a high school reunion. And we kind of got together and bonded over how much we didn't want to go along to that reunion. Just the thought of it seemed awful. And from that, I got the idea, because when we were together, all we'd talk about is basically our glory days. And for two people that hated high school so much, we really did talk an awful lot about it. So I had the idea of getting down some memories of what it was like growing up in those times, because we live in a different world now, and I think we're the last kind of generation to live without the level of technology we find ourselves with now. And I want to talk about those times while it's still realistic, while I've still got good memories of it, before I get too old, before the rose-tinted glasses take effect. But during the first episode of that podcast, as well as talking about high school reunions, I happened to talk about one of my favourite films from back then, which also is about a high school reunion, and it's called Grosse Pointe Blank. And I don't know if you've seen the film. It stars John Cusack, Minnie Driver, and John Cusack plays a hitman who, through a job, ends up back home, and it coincides with his high school reunion. And part of the movie, while he's at the actual reunion, there's a guy who's called Benny the Jet Urquidez, who was a kickboxing champion. And it was the most surprising part of the movie for me, was just seeing him in it and seeing this fight scene, which he obviously must have done the choreography for, because I say he was a former kickboxing champion. He then went over to Hong Kong and starred in a lot of movies as the bad guy. And yeah, fight choreography in Hong Kong was so far ahead of the fight choreography that Western martial arts movies had in the 90s. And yeah, let's just have a look at what these martial arts scenes had in store. Let's just have a look. So, big jump kicks. Can't be a martial artist without a big jump kick. Ooh, another big jump kick. You know, big hook kick. Martial artists doing jump kick and hook kicks. It's just, yeah, my turn, your turn. There's no way you're getting hit in the head like that and carrying on. It's wooden. Another jump kick. Oh, another jump kick again, and again, and again. A spin kick. Another spin kick. Jump spin kick. Nice. Yeah, it's just so wooden. And this is a prime example of 90s kind of action. It really is turn based, and it kind of reminds me of gunfights as well. Which again, in Hong Kong, you had John Woo, Chow Yun-fat starring in most of the movies, where the gunfights were like a dance. Whereas in Western movies, a lot of it was just like Your Turn, My Turn, just like this fight scene here. Whereas in Hong Kong movies, it was just so much smoother. And yeah, here we go. Just Your Turn, My Turn, Your Turn, My Turn. So I'm not somebody that thinks fights should be ultra realistic. I think, I say, if you see most fights how they really are, they're truly boring. But I do like to believe that a fight could happen like that. You know, I wanna believe in the moves that are being done. And as I said, Hong Kong movies miles ahead. Now, I hadn't watched this since the 90's, and I think my memory, the rose tinted glasses coming in there, they made this fight scene seem a lot better than it was. But if you contrast this fight scene that I'm about to show you in Grosse Point Blank with what we just watched from those 90's martial arts films, to contrast it, it's just so different. Here we go, John Cusack. He's at his high school reunion, and here comes Benny. Oh, now as you can already see, it's just look. You got combinations. You've got realistic kind of movements. It's not like a your turn, my turn kind of thing. They're both reacting, they're both moving, ducking, dodging. It's seamless, it's like a dance. Here we got, kind of feeling out again. And as you can see, Benny is by far the better fighter, but slips up here. You quite often see that in MMA where someone's on top and then gets swept over. Pinning them down. It's getting a bit scrappy now, which is a lot more realistic. Don't know how much realistic this is, really finishing off with a pen, but nice end to it. So, yeah, this was pre The Matrix. Like when The Matrix came out in '99, it changed Western cinema forever. Just the gunfights and the action fight. They brought over Hong Kong choreographers to do it, but it was surprising seeing this movie that was a few years before that already taken a leaf from that book. And that's it for this video. I really just wanted to experiment with syncing sound and video, and also doing some video editing and putting that in there. I quite like this style of bringing some visuals from the 90's and the 80's into the mix. I should really learn to turn my phone on silent in future. So like and subscribe. If you haven't listened to the podcast, then you can search them: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the usual suspects. Get in touch on the social media. Give me some ideas of what you'd like to see. Let me know if you want to get involved at all. You can be a regular contributor, one-off, remain anonymous. Let's see what we can do with this project. Thanks for listening. See you soon.